Hey there, and welcome to the Hey Kahla Podcast. I'm your host, Kayla Evans, and in this episode, we're going to be chatting all about routines, more specifically, our morning routines. So, do you have one? Like them? Believe in them? Well, we all actually have a morning routine. It's the things that we do in the order that we do them in every morning to get our day rolling. However, some of us are a bit more intentional about these things, and some of us run around like maniacs, letting our mornings run us. And this is something that I talked about a few weeks ago through my newsletter. And if you're not subscribed yet, no worries, you can check it out in the show notes. But it's something that's actually become a pretty hot topic, which surprised me. And it's something that I'm still getting DMs and emails back about. Apparently, morning routines, very polarizing. Folks either love the idea of them or they think it's a bunch of fluff and BS. But either way, again, technically, what you do every morning is your routine. And if you can take a good look at your routine and maybe make some tweaks to set yourself up for better success or make some tweaks to better support yourself, I mean, why wouldn't you want to do that, right? I've definitely had periods of my life where my morning routine was awesome. It was productive and healthy and it made me feel great. And then on the other hand, I've had periods where I was like this tiny tornado just trying to get out the door by 3 a.m. And then most recently, I went through a period where my morning routine was like a freaking marathon and I actually ended up hating it. I think because my last corporate job before becoming an entrepreneur was in morning TV and radio. So I was up at 2 a.m. and out of the house by 3 a.m. That left barely any time for any of the things that I really wanted to do in the morning. So basically, it was just the essentials: brushing teeth and hair, throwing clothes on, taking the dog out quick, making coffee, throwing that in a to go mug, and then hitting the road. It made me feel like I had no control and no choice over how I started my day because I definitely wasn't about to get up at 1 a.m. just to fit in some journaling or light stretching before getting into my day. So, after all of that, like any rebellious wild child, when I left that job to do my own thing and had freedom, and I had a completely blank slate for how I wanted to spend my mornings, I went a little nuts. But thankfully, I went nuts in like a healthy morning routine kind of way. And I created such a long routine that I used to spend hours getting into my day. Seriously. Like this puppy was a super long list of tasks that I made sure I did every single day to get myself in the right headspace. I wanted to be my best self and I wanted to stay really positive and productive all day long. But what I had created was like this 3 hour long Frankenstein list of things that I saw other people on social media doing, people that I love and admired and wanted to be like. So I put it all together. And although I loved most of it and really pretty much all of it in smaller doses, it truly was a beast when it was all put together. Not only would it take forever to get through everything, again, like 3 freaking hours, but I would be exhausted by the end of it. By the time I sat down at my desk to actually work, I just wanted to take a nap, and sometimes I did. Like, I would take a couch nap after my AM routine, which was the exact opposite of what I was trying to do here. It was sucking up so much of my energy and my creativity that my work, the thing that I loved the most and really wanted to focus on, was suffering. So, a couple months ago, I just decided one morning I'm going to cut that list down. And now it's like 3 easy things. And I'm usually at my desk rocking before 9 a.m. I used to wake up, meditate, move into my gratitude practice, do some journaling, then head downstairs, drink my protein shake, take my supplements, then head outside for my morning walk. Had to get that sunlight on my eyeballs for my circadian rhythm. Then I would work out and post workout do some light yoga or stretching. Then I would tap and spend some time visualizing what I wanted for my future. Then did some hair and makeup, made my coffee, and then sit down to not work yet, but to do my daily reading. And I usually had 2 books on the go back then. Only after all of that would I pull up to my desk to start working. And it sounds so stinking silly, but saying it out loud and just thinking about it, I'm tired even remembering those days. Those are the mornings that made me A, exhausted, and B, stressed out because as soon as I woke up in the morning, I had a whole list of things that I felt like I had to check off. And I would get really down on myself if I ever missed anything that was on that list. And I just got to the point where I was so tired of feeling this way and just so actually physically tired that I cut everything out one morning. So these days, as soon as I get up, I'm out the door for my walk, I come home and make my coffee. And then I still do a little tapping or a meditation, whichever one I feel like, because I do really enjoy it and it does put me into a high vibe state. Then I wash up, maybe do a little bit of hair and makeup if I need it, depending on my day. And then I get straight into my work. And those other things that I loved doing, like working out, yoga, or reading, yeah, I still do those. I just sprinkle them throughout my day, either at my lunch break or in the evening. And it's been awesome, especially in the evening, because if I'm doing other things like reading or doing some yoga, I'm not sitting on the couch eating a bag of chips and watching 90 Day Fiancé. So rejigging my morning routine has actually made a world of difference for my evening routine. I also heard a couple different things in other podcasts lately that made me feel like I'm onto something here, and they might help you out too if you're also feeling a bit overwhelmed by what you think you should be doing. The first one was the fact that women weren't invited or allowed to participate in health studies until the 90s because our bodies are so different and our hormones make it so hard to track stats. And I did some Googling on this one. And as it turns out, a lot of the health studies that were being talked about in like the health and fitness podcasts that I love, they were actually based on full grown men, not women. And that has me really questioning studies even more now. And these days, when women are actually allowed to participate in studies, apparently they still don't like involving us a ton because, again, our hormones make everything more complex. The other thing I heard was that the people posting these luxuriously long morning routines that you see on social media, the ones that I love and I was totally influenced by, they do that now that they are at a certain level in their career and their life. And the reality probably was that back then, when they were trying to get something off the ground and they were hustling and trying to build their companies and businesses, they probably weren't spending 3 hours every morning slowly taking care of themselves and getting into their day. They were probably just spending those 3 hours working. And this was huge for me because I was looking at somebody else's chapter 20, thinking that their chapter 1 was like that. And that's what led to their success, not really reframing it to think, okay, they're successful and they can do that now. But back when they were starting out, they probably kept things really simple and basic just to get going on their work. And then the bonus thing that hit me pretty recently that I always keep in the back of my mind now is that everybody is different and you have to find what works for you. And that's a philosophy that I've always believed in my business when it comes to public speaking. So why wouldn't I be applying that to all other parts of my life, right? Nobody knows you better than you do. I'm going to say that again for everyone. Nobody knows you better than you do. So I'm just keeping that in the back of my mind. Everybody's different and every day is different. And for me, especially as a woman, I'm going to feel different on different days. My routine can and should change and it should be fluid. And I'm not going to be so freaking hard on myself anymore. Some days I might need to sleep in a bit more, or maybe some days I want to take time in the morning to read or do some journaling before I get into my day. I'm going to do what I need to do to feel the best that I possibly can. And I also want to throw in here that if you have a morning routine that you've been doing for a few weeks or a few months and you love it and it's been working for you, if one day you notice like it's just not doing it for you anymore, that's more than okay. And I think that's really normal. Our lives are going to change, our schedules, our routines, our responsibilities, right? Job duties, kiddos, things are constantly flowing and changing. So our morning routines should really be changing and flowing with them. If something's no longer working for you, feel free to ditch it without the guilt. And if you find something else that you love or that you want to incorporate or add in, go crazy and add it in. Maybe don't go like 3 hours crazy unless you can afford that time, but just do what works best for you, right? So, this week ahead, I encourage you to just take note of your morning routine, whether yours has been conscious or not up until this point, and just see if it's really serving you. Are there things you'd like to add to it in order to feel better or more prepared for your day? Do you have anything that's a non negotiable for you that you want to start doing in the mornings to set yourself up? Or are you already doing things that are only adding to your stress and anxiety in the AM, like sleeping in or not prepping your lunch or your clothes the night before? Maybe you can take a look at cutting those things out. And as always, sharing is caring, and you can always head over to Instagram to let me know your thoughts. You can find me over there at Hey Kahla. And if you do a story or a post about your morning routine, feel free to DM it my way or tag me in it. I'm super nosy and would love to see what everybody else is up to. And you can also share this episode with anybody else who you think might like the idea of having a more peaceful and fulfilling morning routine. So thank you again, as always, so much for hanging out with me. For anything and everything else, you can always head over to heykayla.com, or you can send me a note at info@heykayla.com. And I hope you have the best day.